हाँ हाँ, ओनली लगेगा लगेगा तो मैं यूज करता हूँ, ठीक है। ओके 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 बाय। पेशेंस कम हो गया।
हेलो।
हाँ I can, okay okay, ठीक है। So when do we start antibiotics? So it's a very crux question as to when do you start antibiotics, and probably the answer to when you start antibiotics would be a good combination of a clinician's examination, a good clinician examination. Look at whether what is happening to the blood pressure, what is happening to the pulse rate, patient not settling, and the procalcitonin. If the procalcitonin is very low, it's less than 0.25. It indicates there is no infection. The negative predictive value of procalcitonin is very high. That means if the procalcitonin is less than 0.25, if it's less than 0.25, probably there is no infection. You don't need to struggle. And that is the reason that we do the procalcitonin, just to understand this. Meanwhile, one of the prognostic, very, very important prognostic mediators among the laboratory is CRP levels. If the CRP levels are more than 150, it doesn't indicate that there is a bacterial infection. It just indicates that this patient is not going to do well. So in the laboratory investigation, there's one more investigation that I'd like to do is a CRP level. If the CRP is more than 150, it indicates this patient may not do very well. So CRP level is very, very important. However, it does not help in the diagnosis of bacterial infection. To diagnose bacterial infection, you should have severely elevated procalcitonin in the background of a clinical feature that shows this. But what is the gold standard for finding out an infection? The gold standard would actually be to do a fine needle aspiration of the pancreas. A very difficult tool to do, because when you do fine needle aspiration, you may introduce an infection because you're going to put a needle inside a necrotic tissue. So if the needle carries even a small amount of bacteria into the necrotic tissue, that patient will get infected. That patient will get infected. That's why doing a fine needle aspiration cytology on a patient of pancreatitis is not a easy task at all. Okay, so that is why we do repeated CT scans and we try to figure out whether there is a pancreatic abscess or not. But the gold standard is going to remain as FNAC. All right, so now the question that comes is, you have a patient who is tachycardic, who is not responded, spiking fevers, WBC counts going higher and higher, procalcitonin going higher and higher, CRP going higher and higher. You do repeat a CT scan. The CT scan looks like there is an increase in the necrotic tissue, or there is probable development of an abscess. The CT scan technician decides to do does not do a FNAC. Now you are in a condition where you will probably want to start an empirical antibiotic. Now, which will be the antibiotic that you will give? Understand this, usually the antibiotic that are stock antibiotics like aminoglycosides will not penetrate the pancreatic gland. So giving an amikacin or a gentamicin, which otherwise is given right, left, center, it will not penetrate the pancreatic gland. It is not a great antibiotic at all for severe acute pancreatitis. So the antibiotics that are good for them are the acyl uridopenicillins. Of the acyl uridopenicillins, the one of the easiest antibiotics that may penetrate into the pancreatic gland is piperacillin tazobactam. However, it achieves intermediate levels inside the pancreas. So piperacillin tazobactam or cefepime tazobactam are antibiotics that may penetrate the pancreas, but in intermediate levels. So if the organism is highly resistant, which might be the case in India. In India, what is happening? Our gut organisms have got very high proportion of carbapenem resistant Enterobacteriaceae. Our gut organisms. How do our pancreas get infected? By our own gut. Our own gut translocates bacteria into the pancreatic necrosis and causes an abscess formation. Am I clear on this? Am I clear? So if our own gut has got CRE or carbapenem resistant Enterobacteriaceae, the organism that is going to infect the pancreas is actually going to be a CRE. And as I told you, acyl uridopenicillins like piperacillin tazobactam might achieve only intermediate levels in the pancreas. We require a higher antibiotic. And one of the higher antibiotics that achieve satisfactory levels in the pancreas is meropenem. Imipenem and meropenem, carbapenems. That is why the drug of choice in these cases are usually carbapenems. Okay, now you must understand, if you were to start carbapenem early, what is going to happen? If you start carbapenem early, you will have to give this carbapenem for for like 14 weeks and 14 days and 20 days, because the duration of pancreatitis is going to remain so long. You understand? So it is not something that I want to start early. I want to start it only when it is required. I don't want to start it early at all. Okay, so that is why if you want to give an antibiotic, it has to be carbapenem, it has to be judicious, and you have to decide when to give it, and that is a very big question mark in cases of pancreatitis. Am I clear on the antibiotics now? Am I clear on the antibiotics? Okay. Now the next thing that comes to mind, yes, Kanchan.
So that CRE organism रहेगा तो फिर which antibiotic if it is carbapenem is resistant?
If it's carbapenem, it has to be colistin. So unfortunately, that is the reason. That is the reason that giving an antibiotic is a very difficult task. If there is CRE, it's going to be colistin. So we have to first diagnose that this patient has got an infection. If you don't diagnose it, then you are in a very tough condition. We are thinking of three main organisms here: E. coli, Klebsiella, and Proteus. These are the three organisms that you're looking at. In these three organisms, there is a 50 to 60% sensitivity to meropenem, and that is why we're thinking of meropenem. Okay, in these Klebsiella, E. coli, and Proteus, we're thinking of meropenem. But if you come up with CRE, which unfortunately is there in our guts, and these patients will not respond to carbapenem, and you will require something like colistin. So it's a big issue to actually start antibiotics in these patients, and that's the reason. That is the reason, A, you must diagnose infected your pancreatitis, you must diagnose necrosis, and then you must think about the clinical features, look at procalcitonin, and then decide upon antibiotics. Because if by any chance you give long-term antibiotics, you will have super infections, you will have resistance, you will have super infection with fungus, you will have the patient dying, mortality and morbidity will increase. And that is the reason that judicious antibiotics are very, very important. Now, the next question that comes is, how do we feed this patient? We don't keep them NBM. Sainath, we don't keep them NBM. This said NBM, we can't keep them NBM. They have to be fed. They have to be fed. You start feeding them early. In fact, starting feeding them early will prevent an infection, will prevent morbidity, will prevent mortality. So you don't give them NBM, you start feeding them right from day one if you want, not a problem. Once the resuscitation phase is over, you start feeding them. There is nothing like pancreatic rest. We don't give pancreatic rest to our patients, we feed them. Again, I'm repeating it, we feed them. Right from the first day, if the resuscitation is over, we start feeding them with usual diet. So when you start feeding them, there is one possibility, A, that the patient tolerates or does not tolerate. Either the patient may have pain or the patient may have vomiting. If the patient has pain and the patient has vomiting, I will still continue feeding them, but at a lower level. Fat-free diets can be given, anything can be given, but it has to be given because it helps to improve morbidity, helps to improve mortality, helps to improve success rates. All right, that is what I'm going to do with nutrition. In the event that the patient does not tolerate, I mean, has got pain for 3 to 5 days, and you are just unable to achieve nutrition, what will I do? The next step is not TPN. The next step is really not TPN. The next step is putting a post-pyloric feed. That means a feeding tube. The next step will be putting a feeding tube. So we'll put a feeding tube which will go beyond the pylorus into the jejunum, which is called as feeding tube. That is nasojejunal feeding. I will start nasojejunal feeding and continue feeding. In the event that nasojejunal feed also has a problem with respect to pain or with respect to aspiration, what will I start? Then I will start TPN, but my reason to start TPN is going to be after almost 7 to 10 days of trial with enteral nutrition. Sainath, have you understood this? I will not start total parenteral nutrition, unlike what you said. TPN is something that I will start somewhere at 5 to 7 days. If all my attempts at giving enteral nutrition fails, then only I am going to start total parenteral nutrition. Meanwhile, during my enteral nutrition, I may want to supplement with supplemental parenteral, but never total parenteral. TPN is not something that I will do because TPN plus pancreatitis plus long-term antibiotics equals fungal infection. Fungal infection will come and the fungal infection will kill your patient. So that is not something I'd like to do in these cases at all. Okay, so the management will involve very good nutrition to these patients. Most importantly, you must understand they are septic, they are having inflammation with sepsis and with their systemic inflammatory response, large volume resuscitations, they are dehydrated, they are immobilized. DVT, something that can form in these cases is DVT. And DVTs are known to occur with pancreatitis. It may have splenic artery DVTs, splenic vein DVTs, any kind of DVTs can come, deep vein thrombosis. Thrombosis anywhere can occur. And that is the reason that you need to put the patient on DVT prophylaxis. It's very important that you put this patient on DVT prophylaxis because pancreatitis patients are prone to get DVT. All right. And the other thing is to treat the complications. So you will treat the complications like ARDS, You will treat the complications like infection. You will treat the complications like renal failure. Is there a drug that you have to give in pancreatitis? No. There is no single drug that is known to benefit in pancreatitis. There are certain reports of urinastatin working in certain three or four reports. That's all that is there in pancreatitis. Otherwise, there is no drug that will probably help in treatment of acute or severe acute pancreatitis. Am I clear on this? Am I clear? What is the role of gallbladder surgeries in these cases? Only in case of mild acute pancreatitis, very mild acute pancreatitis, will there be a role of immediate gallbladder surgery if gallbladder is the source of the infection. Otherwise, there is no role of surgery in these cases. When does the role of surgery come? Rightly said, after 4 weeks. After 4 weeks, you may want to do pancreatic surgeries. Why? Because after 4 weeks, these abscesses will get walled off. They will get walled off. They'll become a kind of there'll be a wall around the abscess, and then you will operate. Operating before 4 weeks is a very dangerous proposition, and patient may die because of that. So this is not something that we like to do. That is why pancreatitis is a disease that has to be treated by intensive care and not any other faculty. It is a completely intensive care disease that needs to be tackled by intensive care, and it actually, all pancreatitis patients will improve only if they get judicious resuscitation, judicious antibiotics, and judicious management at the right time. All right, so that's about pancreatitis. Any questions on pancreatitis? Right from diagnosis to management, any questions? Any questions on pancreatitis? So Sainath, have I answered most of your questions? Your questions, many of your PowerPoints had some statements that were probably not very right. Have you understood now what all this is about now?
Yes, sir.
Any questions here? Rohit, Kanchan, Elizabeth, any questions here?
Sir.
Yeah, Kanchan.
So for starting empirical antibiotics, what would be the clinical criteria, or it would be before getting the culture report?
So first of all, you have to suspect that the patient has got an infection. To suspect that patient has got an infection, there has to be a deterioration in clinical condition. You just can't think, because here, what is going to happen? This patient already has a pulse rate that is fast. This patient already has WBC count that is elevated.
Yes.
This patient has all the features that look like it is an infection. But you have to diagnose the fact that there is, swinging fever not coming down. You have a patient who is clinically going worse and worse. Okay, and you have a procalcitonin that is elevated, and you have sent a blood culture. Blood culture seems to be flagging something. That is the only reason that you'll start the patient on antibiotic. And the final result, gold standard for starting an antibiotic will be actually doing an FNAC of the pancreas. FNAC in a patient, like for example, 4th day you saw necrotic pancreas. After 4 days you repeated it. Again you found the necrosis to increase, and you thought this is an abscess. The radiology technician feels that this is an abscess, or there is air in the pancreas. If there is air in the pancreas, which is very rare, it is normally an infection. It is normally an infection. Those are the cases in which you will start the patient on an antibiotic. Those are the cases in which you start an antibiotic. Yes, it is a very difficult task when to start an antibiotic, but it is a pure clinical decision along with substantiated with biomarkers and imaging findings, where you will think of starting an antibiotic, because once you're starting an antibiotic, it is going to last for around 2 to 3 weeks. You cannot stop it very quickly because it is an infected necrotic region, and infected necrosis takes a long time for it to heal. Pancreas, the answer is normally a drainage of an abscess. In this case, drainage, you have to wait. Since you have to wait for the drainage, you will have to wait for a longer period of time with antibiotics. That will lead to superinfection, that will lead to critical illness neuropathy, and that will lead to fungal infection. So it's a very dangerous proposition here. Okay, to start an antibiotic. Yeah. Any other doubt?
Sir, PCT to be done on 4th day or on day 1
so
itself?
PCT, procalcitonin
PCT and CRP.
There is no specific time when you do a procalcitonin on a CRP. CRP is done at on the 4th day. If you do a CRP and the CRP levels are more than 150, that indicates that the overall prognosis is poor. It doesn't tell you about that the patient has got infected or the patient needs an antibiotic. Whereas a procalcitonin, the best way to do a procalcitonin is a negative predictive value. That means if the procalcitonin is less than 0.25, if the procalcitonin is less than 0.25, he probably doesn't need an antibiotic. But if the procalcitonin is very high, that has to be coupled with everything else. It has to be coupled with a clinical feature, with fever, with blood culture, all these things, and then you have to decide on antibiotic. Procalcitonin cannot be dichotomously taken. That means if procalcitonin is high, you will give an antibiotic. That is not how you do it. If the procalcitonin is low, not starting an antibiotic is something you may want to do. But if the procalcitonin is high, I will need to evaluate my patient clinically, look at WBC, look at fever, look at blood cultures, look at CT scans, and then decide whether the patient requires an antibiotic. Okay, procalcitonin will only give you a guidance. It will not tell you yes or no.
No, that to be done on first day only or third day?
No,
When
there
the
is no day
necrosis
on this.
sets in.
You have to suspect the problem first. If you suspect that the patient has got a pancreatic necrosis on day 4, on day 4 you'll do a CT scan. The CT scan will tell you that the patient has got necrosis. Now, if the patient has got necrosis, there is a high chance that this patient will get infected. If the patient gets infected, that is the reason that I'm going to think of. So 4 days to I karunga hi nahi. 4 days ke baad, if the patient's clinical status deteriorates, patient is not improving, WBC is going high, all these problems are occurring, that is the time I'll do a procalcitonin. And at that time, if the procalcitonin is going up, based on the clinical features and the imaging findings, I will think of an antibiotic. So there is no specific day. You have to have a condition that says this patient is not doing well. Then you will probably send a procalcitonin as a guide to start an antibiotic. Okay.
Okay, okay, sir.
So you know what? I'm going to send you another link now. All those everyone, please, let me just try to do this. Okay, I'm going to try to end this meeting by leaving the meeting, and you all remain there only. You all go into the same link again. Okay, go to the